Manufacturing Hub. I am back in the normal office setting as opposed to all of the settings people have seen over the last handful of weeks. Very happy to continue our conversation on delivering high impact solutions. We got a really exciting guest today, Rija, who I will go ahead and introduce in just a minute. Let's see, a couple of things. One, we want to again thank Litmus for both sponsoring this theme and allowing me to join them and their booth last week at Hanover. My days and weeks and time zones are very screwy with everything that has been with everything that has been going on. I hope you guys enjoyed the content coming out of there. We will certainly have some more doing that, and at some point, Vlad and I will get together to do a theme recap. And when we get together to go ahead and do the theme recap, we'll let Vlad go ahead and grill me on some Hanover, the things that I saw at Hanover, and we'll go talk about some things that we are planning to do at Automate. So very excited about that. We'll go ahead and let everyone take another second to get in. But if you guys are going to be at Automate this year at the end of May, in about a month, please go ahead, drop some comments below. We're working to put together some conversations and everything that we're going to have there. Want to make sure that we can go continue to see and visit everyone. And I will promise, one of the things that I realize is I'm really bad at taking pictures with people who come up to visit me. So that's going to be Vlad's sole job, is to remind me to take pictures of folks who come up to visit us. But no, this is great. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. Everyone, welcome to Manufacturing Hub with me, Dave, and this guy down here, Vlad. We have made it to episode 110. We are continuing to discuss how to deliver high-impact solutions quickly, and I would like to welcome Rija Rakotoarisoa onto the show. Rija, thank you for being here. I hope I did not mispronounce your last name too badly.
Thank you, Dave, and hi, Vlad. So I am honored to be part of your host today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us and taking the time to speak with us. Before we dive into the technical topics/questions, could you give us a little bit of a background of yourself? How did you get started in manufacturing/industrial space? What was your maybe career path like, and what it is that you are doing today?
Okay, so I am in the industry for almost 19 years now. In the beginning, so I have let's say a double master science in finance and in IT. So in the beginning, let's say in 2004, I started as a developer, a software developer, and I work for an automotive company to develop the maintenance application and also for for the OE application. So it's like some homemade applications, and I did it around 1 year and a half. After that, I come to as the IT manager of the plant the plant, and I manage, of course, the application, the network, the new project for the new cabling inside the shop floor, and I participate as well the implementation of the ERP for the group, and in top of my plant, so I traveled to all of the plants as well. So I have a great background of an ERP is. So that is, let's say, my first part of career until 2011, and in 2011, so I am so there is no more challenge for me. So I'd like to do something beyond the IT. So I did master science in finance, and at the same time, the group gave me the responsibility of another plant to be the finance and IT manager of this one. So the challenge was that this plant lost money, and the idea is yes to make the plant profitable. So that was my main challenge. And as you know, if you are some, let's say, geek tagged people, not really some business people, so it's not easy. And I have to learn from the ground regarding the finance side. And I started there to go to the shop floor to do my let's say my Gemba walk to analyze what's happening in the shop floor even if my main role was to be the finance manager of the plant. And from this, so it's from 2012 to 2016. So in during these 4 years, I learned a lot about the plant. Even if previously I already an IT manager for the plant, but the fact that I am also interested to the finance side of the plant management. So I go deeper on the process were performed in the shop floor. And I had a lot of discussion with the operators, with the production manager, and so on. So it gave me a lot of knowledge about how a shop floor work. And as you know, in the automotive industry, the margin is very little. So you have to take care about everything. And if I compare with the company I work today, it's Poclain. So the margin is not the same. So yes, I developed there as well the let's say the cost mindset as well. I mean if there is no value added, so we should find a way to improve it. So after 4 years as a finance and IT manager, the plant is becoming the second year profitable. And the system was in place because I know the ERP, and I put in place some automatic alerts to help the team. And so there is no more challenge for me. And I wanted
Mhm.
to do something else. And it's 2016, and I go to the group level. So the group will have at that time 10 plants over the world. So my mission was to start the industry 4.0 for the project, because before this there was nothing. And the idea is to start to connect the equipment in order to have automatically the OE, because before that we should write on the paper the data, and the next day you have the information from the ERP, and it's not really real-time management. And in the same time, my company was bought as well by a big one. So it's a Canadian company. And I integrated the worldwide team for the industry 4.0.
Mhm.
So I met an amazing guys from Canada, from Toronto there, and I learned a lot from them. And I travel a lot as well in Mexico, we- Western and Eastern Europe. So yes, I found a lot of mindset, a lot of culture, a lot of different way how they perform the connectivity in the shop floor. But after 3 years with them, I was not aligned with the management. And yes, so basically the management in France is not really the same than the US. So yes, I would like to have something different. And I left the company in 2019 and go to Poclain. So from Poclain, so there was no dedicated people for the shop floor. So my team and I had to start everything from the greenfield. So it was very interesting because yes, we had the all support from the top management to suggest something. And our initial mission was to implement an MES. So this was
Mhm.
one of the big projects of the company, and that's why we were hired by the company. And unfortunately, 1 year later, the COVID-19 the COVID-19 were came. So I don't know if I should say unfortunately or fortunately. So
Yep.
unfortunately, COVID-19 was come, but for our
Mhm.
project, um, a- after 2 years, I think fortunately COVID-19 was there, because of the foreign COVID-19, we review everything. We try to say that yes, we will not go anymore to the
Mhm.
let's say to the monolithic system. and we had to reduce cost as well in order to keep the existing system, because we already have some maintenance system, some OE system, something to do the quality, for example, but in silos. So there are those applications did not communicate, and the operation teams has to do a duplication of the information manually, and uh, as you know, it can generate a huge workload and too much no value added tasks. And so we review everything on the table to say, okay, we have to to keep what we had, the legacy, but we should make them communicating. And that is one point. We uh, we should avoid any huge project. So we should be able to implement something very quickly. So that is one of the requirements. And yeah, so there are a lot of those points on the table, and that was the start to choose an industrial IoT platform.
Hmm.
Rija, I certainly have a lot of questions based on what you just said, but let me like I want to take a step back really quickly and dig into your like background a little bit. And I think that there's two distinct like shifts that I'm really interested in. So the first one being with a software. So you mentioned you did computer science, if I'm not
Yes,
mistaken, in
yes,
university, and
exactly.
so the
Yes.
transition maybe into manufacturing, how was that? Was there a big learning curve? And also, what interested you in the industry? Because I know that there's a lot of people who and the software space have options, to go into a software company and become a software developer for all kinds of different applications. But I think the manufacturing industry certainly offers interesting opportunities as well. So I'm wondering if you could paint us a picture of what your
Yeah.
thoughts were joining manufacturing.
Yeah. So I think the main point was that uh, I want to do something meaningful. So when you help people in the shop floor, you see them every day. You see their pain to writing information in paper, and then the company have to dedicate some people to write down in the ERP. And as you know, the ERP is not a real time system. It's so you have to batch something and extract information, and yeah, so there are a lot of things that, that is not optimized. So I wanted to be part of those who solve this problem, and it is mainly the let's say the main point. Let's say the main focus I had to yes, to make the shift to the shop floor. And so the learning curve is not too high, because even if I was part of the IT department, of course, we had to support the operation teams. So I know more or less, even if I am not the specialist for automation and the maintenance, but I know exactly what happened there. So it's very easy to me at that time to understand them, and with my skills in software. So yeah, it was helpful, and the mix was going well.
Awesome. No, I absolutely. I really love to hear that story because I think in my conversations, not enough. I want to say people from IT take the time or spend the time on the shop floor to understand,
Yeah,
the real challenges, and I think that's really critical to be able to make, the decisions that you're making in your current role, at least. So I certainly appreciate that. I think
yeah,
it's very important for you to take the time and understand the industrial space. The second transition, I noticed a lot is the financial education
yes.
also. So I'm curious, what kind of push was that something that the company recommended? Was that something that you
No.
thought would be like a good addition? Like, what was that decision like?
So this one is like a personal challenge, because when in my previous company, so when you are in IT, with only background in IT, with the education, because in France the education is very important, even if you can do something else. So if you did not send the right education, you can do the right job. And I wanted to step up this, and I asked to them to do something else beyond the IT. And they said that yes, but you don't have any other skills yeah, apart IT. So I asked them to follow a course to go back to the university, and they follow me on this. So it's the initiative is from myself, and but the company maybe show the potential from my side, and they help me on this. So I stay inside the company in parallel of doing this master science in finance. And yeah, the idea is, of course, let's say, to take more responsibilities than just IT, to have, let's say, global understanding how a company work, and how you can manage a company. And yeah, and I think it was a good choice because it gave me the whole overview of yes, of finance, of course, of the operations, and everything.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, right? I think that, again, if I want to make the comment, I think there comes a time where if you're extremely technical, you still need that financial or business knowledge
Yeah,
to make
yeah,
sure that you tie the projects back to something that, again, delivers results, right? And at the end of the
yeah,
day, in the manufacturing space, we're trying to create products and put them out the door, right? So you need to understand some finance in
yeah,
order to sort of optimize. And we'll talk about this a little bit more, but in Industry 4.0, right, ultimately you're gathering data from the production floor, but
yeah,
ultimately you're creating more dollars coming back into the business, whether it is like cost savings,
yeah, mm,
reducing defects, or optimizing for like higher speed or production rates. So that's really good. I um, certainly can see the value in that. If I could ask you, a question
yes,
on Industry 4.0. So I know that that movement has started, a number of years ago. There's been a lot of discussions. I think that our space has not settled on an official definition yet. When
mm,
someone talks to you about Industry 4.0, what does that like entail? What kind of maybe systems immediately come to mind? And even maybe if you can draw some examples of what you've like
yeah.
worked on, that would help. But ultimately, what does Industry 4.0 mean for you?
So for me, Industry 4.0 means a couple of things. So
Hmm.
the first one is, and the easiest one is that the fact that your shop floor, your real device communicating with the virtual device by collecting data. So that is one. The second one for me is that um, it should be useful for the operation team, and then contextualized data, thanks to the data collection, is part of the Industry 4.0 as well. And there are a lot of technologies around this technology, like the augmented reality, for example. Let's say if you create some digital twin is like you take a clone of your shop floor
Mhm.
with a virtual one, maybe to make easy the remote assist, for example, or for example for the maintenance team, in order to facilitate the troubleshoot, for example, if they are in front of a given equipment, and they can say, okay, I am on this equipment, maybe with a scan of QR code, I have automatically all of the data, and then I can see the trend, and maybe a specialist, I can say, yes, this pressure is not normal, or this temperature, or this parameter. And all of this, so it's not limited to this, but the first thing come in mind is that data collection and data visualization in real time in the shop floor, to help the operation, the engineer, the maintenance, and yes, of course, the main target for a production line is to be up and running. So
Mhm.
what we need is to put in place some system to make sure that this is under control. So having alert, having the let's say, not just having too much alert, but only when when needed, because now we collect too much data, but we don't need to be alert to everything, but just for the exception. And those exceptions will really helpful for the operation team.
Yeah, and I certainly agree with that definition, right? And I think there is a lot of complexity, right? Like
Yeah,
to unravel in that, there's networking, there's server knowledge, there's potentially cloud. You've mentioned VR, augmented reality,
yeah,
right? There's a lot of different technologies that I think you can almost spend an entire career on, right?
yeah,
But ultimately, it is how to say, like I always describe it as I want to say like journey, but that's like a used word, but there's like stepping stones, right? When it
yeah,
comes to Industry 4.0. But
yeah,
ultimately, it is a lot about the data. So I certainly agree with you on that point.
yeah.
Dave, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think that this has been a really good conversation. Rija, if I can take the conversation back just for a minute, you were talking about how you want to go get your finance degree in order to go kind of find that next level of challenge. As you were going through the degree, and as after that you have received and kind of many years of now practical experience, are you looking at projects differently? And are you looking at them more in a cost benefit scenario? And are you using kind of that financial framework as justification to help explain why we should do projects to plant managers and to executives within your company?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So yes, it changed a lot the way I manage a project, because
Mhm.
of course, I try to see how we can optimize the overall cost for the company.
Mhm.
Not only, for example, if we try to buy a software, I have to think, yes, the initial cost for the project, but also the running cost for this. This is a basic things, and this is for me now. It's becoming something like the standard, right? And so that is one point. Then the second point as well is that sometimes when you go to the shop floor, they have a ton of requests,
Yes.
and it's important as well to be honest with them, and tell them that yes, it's great to have all of this, but for each of them, you should ask them to say that yes, what if we did this, what is the value added for you, or it does it change something in your daily basis? For example, if someone just ask, okay, I'd like this dashboard, collect this data, and if the effort between the benefits is, if not, if the balance is not on the right way, so we say to the guys that we will not do it, and we explain, and it's very important as well. So because um, I already had in my previous career the fact that I was part of the corporate team, and
Mhm.
corporate team create a project, and then we should implement it to the plant. And before, we did not ask them, but
Okay.
we should implement this. And by my experience, it doesn't work. It doesn't work for sure. So and it's, let's say, a loss of money for the company. So my approach now is that go to the shop floor, discuss with
Mhm.
them, see what's happening there, identify some pain with a quick discussion. Even if you go there half a day, I am quite sure that the operators, the technician will give you a lot of interesting things. And what is very interesting is that when you take those ideas, implement them, go back to them, and then there will be a great support, and they tell a good message for you, spread a good message for you, and it's really helpful. And that is for me the let's say the very impactful in terms of implementation. So listen, listen and explain, and also not only let's say sometimes maybe some people would like um, to make pleasure, to give pleasure to the guys, even if it's bring nothing, or maybe there is an emotion. So yes, with the finance, I learned to separate the emotion and the fact also, and it is helpful as well to explain. And when you explain, it's very easy. The guy will not tell you that you are not a good guy or no. So there is a reason, and you have to be more factual instead of emotional. And yes, this is part of I learn as well.
Absolutely. I think that's very important. So Vlad has thrown a comment from Daniel up here, and he's saying that it's always important to make sure that the end customer is involved with the project process. The more involvement from the customer, the better the implementation will go.
Exactly.
And I think that's a really good point. And I feel like we talk about it so much on this show, but I also feel like we've all seen many times over and over again where for whatever reason the people on the plant floor, the end customer, to Daniel's point, aren't intimately involved in the project,
Yeah.
and it's just a consultant shows up and they're like, hey guys, this is what we're doing today and this week, and you probably didn't know about it, but here I am, this
Yeah.
is what we're going to do, let's hope it works out well 6 months from now.
Yeah.
Rija, like to that point, I like the framework that you're talking about. Do you have maybe an example project of something that you have leveraged this framework, that we can talk about,
Yeah.
that has worked well in the past?
Mhm. Yes, so I can take for example. So I have two examples. So the one is from my previous role as a finance manager, and the recent one is in Poclain when I implemented the data hub 2 years back. After the COVID-19, we have to shift to something like more agile and a lower cost, of course, and also no monolithics. So there are a lot of challenges, and we uh, we did know exactly what we would like to have. So with my team, because there is no Superman. So Rija is here, but my team is there, and the guys from plant as well. So it's, let's say, a teamwork. And what we did is that with my team and the business team, so we identify which features you would like to implement. So we are very clear on this: the technical features, the business features, some advanced features that is more or less mandatory or not. So we qualify all of these, and we name it like the choice criteria. So from this, we identified some softwares in the market, because we one of the key points is that we don't want to develop something by our own. We would like to have something that in the market in order to go quickly. And and what we did is that with these criteria, we select some software, and we ask some presentation, and we keep four of them. So what we did to scale very quickly is that we work in a lab mode. So we have a digital lab, and we test each of them. So I negotiate for to each, of course, to have the zero cost. So I negotiate to each of supplier to have a zero cost and to have a free license for some months, and we test really everything. So the idea is to have an educated decision, not just an emotional one. And educated means that for each of them we take the choice criteria. We say yes or no, yes or no, and then we have a quotation for each of them. And at the end, we make the addition um, without the cost, of course. The for, we try to not let's say influenced by the cost as the first step, but just what are the features, and then we can negotiate it if it fits our our needs. So what we saw during our tests in the lab is that a lot of application for the industrial IoT are, let's say, more monolithics, and it needs lot of software, a lot of resources to implement this. And of course, when you have to implement something with 4 or 5 servers, of course you have to pay those servers, to pay the license for Microsoft, and so on and so on. And I cannot imagine to deploy it to each plant, because even if it's let's say something that common for the group, you have to make sure that the plant is up and running. And because if there is any network issue between the corporate and the plant, it will be unacceptable. So we have an architecture for each plant. So we need something that's scalable to all of the plant,
Mhm.
but able also to be consolidated at the corporate level. So we have all of this. We really tested in the lab. We had some use cases, and then we validated. So we ask as well the help of the suppliers. And for this, for
Mhm.
example, uh, after 2 3 months, we made our decision. So yeah, you can imagine that for an MES, you can validate something in 3 months. It's not possible. But from our side, for this industrial IoT platform, we make our decision. And yes, that's at this time we chose Lightmiss, because for me, even if it's not perfect, and I know that I push a lot as well the Lightmiss team to make some improvement on it in order to have some advanced feature. I think this is yeah, part of the game player in the future, compared to some big software. And with this choice done, what we did is that um, we did not have time to make all of the plant tour, to have the
Mhm.
requirement from the plant. And also, it's something new. No one know it, and we are, as you know, 2021. So lockdown, more or less lockdown, so we cannot travel to the plant. And with the mind business key users, we decided that what is the quick win use case, in order to have something that easy to implement, and have a visual for a visual and real impact for each plant. So we take 2 3 use cases, we implement it, let's say by by top down, this way, and we show them that yes, this platform, we can do this for you. And typically, we were able to have, let's say, in global, for the 9 plants, the information from all of the equipment for the motor test bench, for example. So in one to click, they have the result and the details, which parameters are wrong. But previously, they have to connect it to a database, make a query, put it to Excel, and see which system is okay or not okay. So with
Okay.
with the system, we collect information automatically and push it. So this is one of the way we manage it uh, very quickly. But uh, what is really important to have in mind is that yes, we implement these simply use cases, but we think globally. So this use case is scalable for all of the plant. So as
Mhm.
I said, that yes, you should have a global vision, even if you act small on a simple use cases or a unique use cases for a given plant. And we think that yes, we should make this available for all of the plant. And with this way, we were able to impact everyone at all plants in the short period.
Awesome. Really
Absolutely.
interesting.
I
Go ahead, Dave.
I love that, Rija. You had made the comment about a digital lab,
Yeah,
right? And you used the digital lab to go compare,
yeah.
a number of different softwares to pick the direction you wanted to go. Can you tell us a little bit about the digital lab that you guys set up? How big it was it, and kind of the process that you went through to go select the software that you guys are now using.
Okay, so the digital lab is just, it's not, let's say, a dedicated department. It's just
Hmm.
like let's say, like a dedicated place, of course. and
Yeah.
we implement there, for example, a dedicated network with no restriction. Because as you know, if you have to connect new things to the corporate network, you can wait a lot of time, and and it's normal. It's not a critical for my infrastructure team, but yes, it's
Mhm.
normal. So the idea is that yes, we have to keep our corporate network secure, but in parallel, we should be able to go more quickly with no restriction. And once it's okay, we take the system and we try to implement this to say, okay, we have to implement to this flow, for example, in the firewall or something, because it can take time, and it is helpful as well to test everything it is compliant or not with our corporate cybersecurity system. And yes, the one of the really value added for the digital lab is that so we can do it without the help of someone else. Just
Mhm.
with the team, we go to the digital lab. We had our internet connection. We have a dedicated computer, and we make our test. And that was
Okay.
really helpful. And we focused really on the test without IT restriction.
If I can jump in, Dave, I also noticed the comment, Rija, that you made was that you decided to find an off-the-shelf solution versus, building in-house. I'm curious, how that maybe process went through, because I'm sure that you've considered it, right? And you mentioned
Yeah.
that for maybe speed purposes, you decided to find something already built. But I know that many manufacturers kind of are still in that gray area where they're trying to decide which way to go. They're trying to decide maybe with a going with a very small systems integrator or a very large, solution provider. So I'm curious, like again, building in house versus getting something off the shelf, how that decision and evaluation took place.
Yeah. So, so we have both, but not this industrial IoT platform. So the choice was that we should have something that is, let's say, easy to put in place, and for sure, we are not a specialist to develop driver or something to connect to the equipment. So I think this is one of the key points that we are not able to develop something that with the large driver, because yes, we have company in the US, so more or less you have the Alan Bradley there, or Rockwell. In Europe, mostly we have Siemens, maybe Fanuc as well. In Asia, we had a lot of a lot of kind of PLC. So it's important for us to have something ready to use. And so this is one point. And the second point is that my team is very small. So my point is that I would like to have a tool that is usable for end users, even if they are not IT, and even if they are not automation people. So it is really part of our choice criteria as well. So for this platform IoT, yes, we did not consider the house-made application. But of course, for example, we developed, for example, a house-made application for OE, for example, because it's simple. With the platform, you collect the signals, and then in the application you just display it, make some calculation, and that's it. So it's easy, and anyone can do it, even if with Excel you can do it. But for the platform, it's very important. And also, I wanted also to, yes, in top of the fact that it should be easy to use by the end users, and
Mhm.
it should be scalable as well. What I mean scalable is that basically I have now an architecture that I have one data hub for each plant, but tomorrow my point is that we are testing this with my team to have a device on the edge directly on the production line and having the software there. In that way, we can log data even if I have issue on the network. I have the information there. I can there put some store and forward system. So it's
Mhm.
under testing with my team. So it's the next step of our architecture, and it is in prevision of the fact that I would like to put the AI in the shop floor directly, because
Okay.
as you know, storing data just in the cloud will be costly, And maybe, yes, in the beginning, we should maintain the model of our AI system. But once the model is okay, we can push it directly to the edge, and maybe we just need to store the key data. In that way, it can reduce as well the cost of ownership of the whole system. So yes, we go step by step. By we try to keep a global vision.
I really
Okay.
like the way you break that down.
Yeah,
I like the step by step system, right? Because I think that a lot of times when you go online and you read like a large case study, right, you're going to maybe find the end result which just has, well, we've implemented a bunch of like edge devices that
yeah,
talk to servers that have AI barcodes to, retrieve information, and you kind of see the end result versus kind of the step by step
yeah,
process that is taking
yeah.
place. So I certainly appreciate that. Sorry, Dave, go ahead.
Okay.
No, no, no. I like this. Risha, I really like how you kind of laid out all of those thoughts. Excuse me. I like how you laid out all of those thoughts. And so what I do want to do is in just a sec, I would like to go thank some people, and then I would like to ask you a bit more about that artificial intelligence that you were mentioning. So we want to thank Litmus for sponsoring this theme. With Litmus, everyone can work from a single source of truth to improve efficiency, drive profitability, and scale securely when it comes to industrial data. Real time connectivity, normalization, contextualization, and analysis at the edge come together in one platform to help IT, OT, and enterprises do more with their data. More than 275 drivers connect to legacy and modern industrial systems in minutes, ready KPIs and analytics, digital twin and machine learning models, and integration to the cloud available out of the box. If you would like to try Litmus out, check out central.litmus.io. We'll go ahead and have that in the chat, and we'll make sure that it's in the show notes. And please let them know that Dave and Vlad from Manufacturing Hub sent you guys that way as you go test that out. So Rija, you were talking about artificial intelligence, right? Like that is kind of the goal, and maybe we train the model in the
Yeah,
cloud and deploy it on the edge.
yeah,
I would love to get your thoughts on where the industry is going to go, or maybe if you're currently using artificial intelligence on the plant. So I guess two questions is, are you currently using artificial intelligence, and where do you see this going into the future?
so we are just on the stage just before, because
Okay.
artificial intelligence is very good, but we should ensure that we have consistent data. If you don't have consistent data, artificial intelligence is nothing. It's bullshit if you have no consistent data. So that's why the first step was that to put in place this standardized platform for all of the plants, collect information in the consistent way in order to make sure that yes, this is reproducible for all the plants. And then I know that now for some equipment we have more than 3 years, because we were able as well, even if our software is 2 years back,
Mhm.
we integrate as well some historical data. So we put in place some flows to integrate the system, and all of this is automated, and it helps us to have a bunch of data. And now we started to work with the business to say that yes, what are your key parameters, and then blah blah blah. So yes, now I think in the next 3 or 6 months at the latest, we will have something great. But yes, we're just on the step before. Yeah,
Absolutely. No, I think that that's exciting. While I was at Hanover, I had many conversations about artificial intelligence, and I think many of the groups were kind of to very similar to the place of you are. Of there are a couple of applications that we could, in theory, use now, but based upon where we are as manufacturing as an industry, I believe that most of those applications may be trained in the cloud, but are going to have to be pushed down to the edge for everyday use for a variety of reasons, including the fact that cloud costs can get extremely expensive if you're pushing up and down a lot of data, as well as the fact of we just don't have great
yeah,
connectivity across the manufacturing floor. Uh, Vlad, I know that this is a little bit different than all of the other artificial intelligence conversations that you and I have been having in the past. Are I guess what are your thoughts on that? I kind of want to open it up to you to be able to go ask the questions and conversations that I've been having for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think, coming from the OT side, I think there's a lot of challenges in getting that data consistently, as Rija mentioned. I think, again, we can dive deeper into this, but there's many different protocols in the industrial space. I think it's very difficult also to untangle, I guess would be the word that I would use, the kind of the differences in different control systems. And obviously, Rija, I don't know what your plant floors look like, but in my experience, there's very little standardization. So it becomes a
Yeah.
very tedious experience. Again, you see a lot of PLCs behind me. Going into the PLC, you need to understand the process. You need to understand what data points we have. Then you need to send that to, like an edge device or a server, ultimately buffer that, as you've explained, also would be a good option. But then, so I think that a lot needs to be done before AI models can be implemented. And I think that, at least from my conversations, manufacturers sometimes underestimate what it requires to get there. And I think, again, from what I've seen personally, if you make the mistake of trying to go too fast, you can make mistakes along the way that are detrimental. And I'll give you like one example. I remember when I was doing data integration work, and again, we would be just walking away from the project too quickly, and the data was not accurate, right? So we didn't validate the data completely. Then people who are looking at that data will very quickly distrust any information that you give them, right? So if you make those mistakes, and if you don't even if you correct them, right? So even if you correct them, you sort of lose that trust. So sort of taking the time to validate and make sure everything's solid. As you mentioned, everything's like buffered and there's no like losses of data, which again can frustrate some users because they don't understand, the hardware and the software behind that. So it can hinder the entire implementation, just that one little mistake that you make. But anyways, that's like that's my experience. But it's certainly, I think we will see more and more AI applications, and I think that there's manufacturers testing them. But personally, I've not heard of like a very good, solid case study yet. And I think they're also secretive about releasing some of those case studies, because whoever implements it well will have an advantage, right, in the marketplace. And so I'm patiently waiting to see like real life case studies that come out. Here's how we used AI. Here's how it can be easily applied to, like a different process. So I'm patiently waiting.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, I think yes, the biggest challenge on this is that the connectivity. I don't know if I am alone, but I know that yes, we have a lot of diversity. So that is one, and among of this diversity, we have also the communication problem with the suppliers or the integrators, because yes, you have your plant, you have our PLC, you have our a robot or something, but you not really have access to all of them easily. So you have to ask supplier or the integrator to have access to some information with the from your plant, from your data, and it's really frustrating because I have a lot of integrators that they don't allow us to make some modification, or even if we ask them that okay, you do the job, make it let's say a communication table just for us, just for read, and we will not write anything in the system, but we just need to collect data. It's not really easy. So for the legacy equipment, it's very difficult to do this. So as you know, I don't know in the US, but in France, for example, we have lack of automation engineer, and very difficult to have for each plant is a very specialist. And this is one. And the second point is that if you have too much diversity, so that means that you have to have someone that um, expert in Siemens, in Rockwell, in Alan Bradley, in something else, and it's not it's not easy. So what we try to do is for the new line, or when you do some uh, retrofit, for example, so to ask the business to involve us in the early stage in order to make sure that yes, we need this and this and this. In that way, it's much easier to work together before the implementation of the production line with the supplier, that yes, we need this, and once the line is there, we just need to, to plug and have data. But of course, it just maybe 10 or 20% of the production line, but the 80% is just the legacy, and you have to manage with this. And yes, it's one of the big challenge we have today. So if someone have an idea for this, so I will appreciate.
Do you see do you see if there's a shift in mindset from the integrator side? Are they more willing to give you data? Because I think that our industry is slowly looking at, the software industry that has a lot of open source projects. It's a lot more open. There's more
Mhm.
platforms where I can port the entire code base, right, and write software on
Yeah.
top of this. But it's not the same case in industrial automation, at least. So do you see us going that direction, or do you still have a lot of conversations where integrators are trying to keep that data to themselves?
So I have both cases. So I have, for example, at least three supplier that I am. We are able, not Rija, but the Poclain team, were able to discuss with them and change. For example, we have some equipment that they have some, let's say, specific OPCUA implementation, and
Mhm.
it does not fit to the standard implementation of the OPCUA. So we ask them, for example, to say, okay, if you can implement the MQTT, for example, in this equipment, it should be great and more flexible for us. So Poclain was, let's say, a helper for them. So we made the test in the live machine to the new version of their software. So it was a good collaboration with the software. We have at least three supplier as well currently, that where we will have new lines, and with the business team, with the project team, we are in contact with them in order to implement something. So yes, for the new line, I do not have difficulties, and maybe the main reason is that they are not all paid. So maybe maybe it was one of the reason, but I hope so that the mentality will change, and I am quite sure that the supplier or the manufacturer will not play the game on this way, uh, will dead tomorrow, because I think most of the company will not most of the company will need connected machine, maybe having some API or something like that from the shop floor directly, in order to communicate with the IoT system, with the 5G or something like that. So I think they will be first to change, even if in the industry it's moving slowly. So that
Mhm.
is my thinking about this.
And it's an interesting
Uh,
dilemma. Like I'd want like Dave to chime in on this, right? But I think we see on one side sort of integrators of these systems being more open, but on the other side, there's a lot of platforms that are
Yeah,
coming in with their own, let's say, like cloud solution, right? Because they see
yeah,
value in the data. So
yeah,
I think one example that comes to mind is, like vibration sensors for
yeah,
motors that read
yeah,
like what's going on with the motor, and they can reliably tell you when it's going to fail, right? Well, you need to connect those sensors through their own hub that goes through their own cloud. And then,
yeah,
obviously they do whatever they need to do with their data, but you only
yeah,
get access to a dashboard that tells you what's happening
yeah,
with the motor. And I think there's a lot of examples, even on like vision systems, some
yeah,
of the robotics systems. So
yeah.
it's interesting. To be honest with you, don't have an answer, but like
mhm.
I'm curious on your thoughts and on Dave's thoughts. as well of these like platforms that are coming out.
Yeah. And I think it's one of the issue in the future for those company, because they want to have their own system. And in the fact, for example, if I take my case or our company case, for example, we would like to have our data in the same place in our cockpit system, not
Hmm.
having, let's say, a dedicated software from a given supplier. So what I ask them is that give us an open interface, and then we take data from there, push it to, we will take data and push it to our system. And this is the main requirement from our plants, our plant managers, to have everything at the same place um, in order to, let's say, to avoid losing time taking information from there. And this is what we put in place, for example, with our IoT platform. And yes, it is not at the end, but it's growing. And more we collect information, we break the silo out of the equipments. And it's really helpful.
Absolutely. I would generally agree with the comments and the comment that Daniel had made in the chat about how vendor lock-ins are difficult. I think that there are some cases where it either makes sense or this is the way that the vendor works. And our choice is, do we want to work with the vendor or do we want to work with someone else? But it is certainly difficult if we are trying to go pull that information in. We've had this conversation in the past on this show, Rija, and I think kind of much of the consensus is that we are at a point in time in the manufacturing history where everyone wants to make their own cloud, where everyone wants to make their own subscription service, and where we are diverting into many different areas. I think at some point in the near future we are going to, as I would say, contract, right? So many of those individual services are going to have to go away if we want to be able to leverage one dashboard. Or perhaps there will be we'll have a handful of services, but we'll be able to, via API or something like that, pull into one central database. And I believe that is the direction that we have to go if we want to be successful, because no one has time to go sit on 10 different dashboards to try to go figure out one problem, or have 10 different services go try to send out text messages or email or other alarm notifications that something is going wrong. We see it currently, even if we just look at like some specific maintenance platforms. Like, maintenance shouldn't need 4 or 5 different platforms to attempt to do their job. The more platforms we add with the hope of providing better information, the more difficult all of our jobs become. So I think that we will see in the next, I don't know, 2-3 years, the, as I say, contraction of that, where we lose so many of those. I think we will always see some specific vendor lock-ins, right? I think that if there is not a lot of competition, then the vendors don't have a reason to open up the code, to open up the ability to pull in sensors directly off of the machine. But I believe that there will be fewer and fewer of those opportunities where one vendor owns the vast majority of any type of machine, as we see going forward. Rija, let me ask you one question. You told us very much about this great journey that you have gone on, about testing all of these software platforms, about deploying them, about all of this. If a manufacturer is listening and they are wondering, hey, what are some good lessons learned? Do you have some good lessons learned or some good things for other manufacturers to take a look at as they're trying to decide what software platform they want as their data hub, or what they're going to base their next generations of solutions off of?
Yeah. So my lesson is that instead of implementing something because me or someone else implemented it because it's hype or something, instead of this, identify your real needs, because each company have a specific needs, and
Yep.
you have to start from there. Because if not, maybe you implement something that your operational team will have nothing to do with. So importance to yes, to make some audit, to ask the shop floor team, to ask them that yes, what's happening here, what are your main pain points, and from
Yep.
this you create the needs, not from the top. So this is my advice for the manufacturers. Go from the button, consolidate it, and maybe create your choice criterias to say that yes, we need this, and for sure you will let's say meet the real requirements from your team, and there is no reason that the project will not successful.
No, perfect. I think that that is fantastic. And my next question, Rija, is as you know, I like to ask everyone to go ahead and predict the future. I feel like so much of our conversation is the future for most of us is what you're building now. But I'm still going to ask you the question: what do you think that the future of the manufacturing industry looks like over the next 2 or 3 years?
Yeah, I think in the future, I think the digital twin will be a standard. It should be a standard because in our current world, the yes, the end customers will ask us something that more specific for each customers. So for example, if I compare to my previous company, for example, we, we, pro- we produce something for the car manufacturers. So we have
Hmm.
a lot of batch, like multiple hundred of thousand product by type. Now maybe they will you just have some maybe 10 or 100 or something like that for each work order. That means that you have to be more flexible, and it's important to make sure that you optimize your production line. So digital tin will be for me a standard, and those who will not implement this, I think they will die slowly because they will be
Yes.
behind of the competitors. So that is one point. And one of the threat I have as well in the future is that since you collect more data, so you need to store more data for all of the plants, basically. So from my side, we have just uh, uh, eight, nine plants, so it's okay. But for example, for company that they have more than 40 or 60 plants, it's
Hmm.
it's in it's huge to store data by their own data center, so they have to push it maybe somewhere in the cloud based. So maybe yeah, I will I don't know what will happen, but I think there will be a problem of ownership of the real data, because yes, the cloud provider maybe will analyze your data, or maybe they will be yes, they will be generate more business than
Hmm.
you. So I think industrial company should should take care of this and should anticipate this, maybe how they will manage this. And the future as well is that as for now, you have the dichotomy between IT and OT. Tomorrow,
Hmm.
I think it will be the same thing. That means that we need to have some new skills for the team. So there is a lot of mindset to change, and I think the training on the manufacturing side will be a very big thing also,
Yeah.
because the knowledge will change. Maybe your operator is not just someone who can manipulate the equipment, but also someone that is data friendly and that they should be able to yes, to learn, to read, to interpret the data generated automatically on the equipment, for example. So there is a lot of challenge regarding the skills and the profile of the shop floor team. And and the one key things as well is that the cybersecurity side, because yes, uh, almost I, I I I can be sure that if you take any manufacturing plants, there
Hmm.
is at least five, tens, and more deprecated system. So that means that yes, cybersecurity will be, let's say, a key point for all, and it should be also a big market for the manufacturing side, and the new software in the place in the market, for example, should be, let's say, cybersecurity ready. I mean that yes, the software itself should be uh, secure by design. It should be it should be mandatory, and I think it will be. But also the network in the shop floor should be yeah, take some over stage as well. So that are some point. And what I see as well is that I go to some show, and I see that there are a lot of company who develop their platform. At the end, a lot of them are just analyzing data, but maybe
Mhm.
tomorrow analyzing data will be more easier, because the the open source AI will be more easier to use for anyone, even if the manufacturer themselves. So I think there will be a lot of merging tomorrow also on the, or
Okay.
maybe merging, or cooperation or partnership or something like that. So maybe there will be some major big company who will generate tomorrow. So that is, let's say, my prevision on this.
Absolutely no. I think those are all very good predictions. I think I guess I hope most of those will come true. Those are very similar to what I think will happen in the next few years. Rija, I know you said that you follow and watch a lot of content surrounding Industry 4.0. Do you have some good content recommendations if people are interested in learning more?
So from my side, basically, for example, I create some Google Alert, for example, on Industry
Mm.
4.0. So I can have it once a day. So it let me to not
Yes.
scrolling everywhere, but boom, automatically each morning I have the information, and it take 5 to 10 minutes for me to have, let's say, some global view. So that is one point. Second one is that
That's
we
a
have linked.
sorry to interrupt, Rija. That's an alert through Google, correct? Google News, or is
Yes.
that something else? Okay,
No, it's just a Google Alert,
gotcha.
Yes.
and they send an email to you, so you can select the keywords, the frequency, and yeah. So it's very easy to put in place. And the second method I am using is that um, I follow, for example, the hashtag on LinkedIn, and there are ton of very useful. So you don't need to create something or learn something in the book, because the book is just an idea from one people or from two or three people. On LinkedIn, we have all of JD. Maybe you are not okay with them, but it's okay. So you just uh, take it like a buffet, a buffet, for example. So you take what you want, and you learn a lot on this. And also, I follow some leaders in the industry 4.0, like Walker Reno, Jeff Winter, and much more, because they are sharing some very interesting things. Even if sometimes I am not agree with all of them, that of course they make really a good investigation to find the information in the field of Industry 4.0, for example.
Absolutely. I would agree with that. We have lots of good information and good content coming out. And I think part of that is agreeing with some of it, maybe disagreeing with some of it, and having good conversation
Yeah,
around what we agree and do not agree with. So thank you for that.
yeah,
Rija, I guess we always like to ask people for career advice, and you've had a
yeah.
very interesting career from
Mm.
software development and controls into finance into kind of this global architecture of Industry 4.0. If someone is maybe mid-career and maybe they're looking for a change, what is the best advice that you have for them?
Yeah. So the first one is that the mindset. So it's not technical at all, but I think the first point is the mindset. So I used to say to my team, or to someone who asked me that, how do you hire someone? So I hire someone with his or her mindset. So that is one. So you have
Mhm.
to have the mindset to change, to learn. You have to be coachable. And after that, if we talk about the manufacturing or industry 4.0 area, I think the key point is data. So the someone should let's say choose which area they are more friendly with. Maybe data, maybe AI, maybe cybersecurity, maybe the automation, for example, or robotics, because tomorrow all of the skills will be really mandatory in the shop floor, because yes, we will have more data. So someone who is now how to um, how to work with data, how to interpret
Mhm.
AI result, or how to customize AI, for example, it's very important. I talk about also the cybersecurity, because yes, it's key. It's key because it will cost too much money to the company if they have some non-secure system. And with the connected device, the yes, let's say the surface will be more than today. And we'll need to have someone skills in the cybersecurity. And of course the cloud as well, if they are more or less friendly with the infrastructure, for example, because you have to store something there, and they have to manage more and more server or something like that. We have to scale quickly as well. So I think someone who is aware about the cloud is very important as well. And I think yes, it's not mandatory to to know all of those technical things. Maybe another career is, maybe it's the same as me, because I am not as technical as you, Vlad, or or Dave, but I can lead the change. So change leader is also an important job, because you, yes, you can have a high skill, but if you are
Mhm.
not able to talk with the operator, to top management, it will be difficult to convince, and also yes, to palette some things successful. So that are
Let me ask you,
some some rough idea.
if I can just jump in before Dave asks the next question. I'm curious your thoughts on, being a generalist versus a specialist, because I think, again, some of these skills are becoming so difficult to master that, again, you can build your entire career, in automation or
Yeah.
IT, even like, something as like networks or like cybersecurity alone, right? So do you see
Yeah.
more value in like very specialized like deep skills, or do you see like generalists that understand, but aren't necessarily as maybe like able to implement those systems be more
Yeah.
valuable in the future?
I think it's, let's say, a personal feeling, because someone, for example, they don't want to learn too much thing. They want to focus
Hmm.
on one or two things, and they want to be part of the 10% of people in this field. So this, as I said the specialist, about someone else like me, for example. I don't want to be a specialist in something. I want to know a little bit, and then coordinate the specialist on those topics. So I think it's, yeah, I cannot give, let's say, an exact advice on this, because I think it's personal.
Mhm. Okay, gotcha.
To add to that, I think that we will need both, right?
Yeah,
I think that we will need,
exactly.
and I think what Rija is almost calling generalist is like a solutions architect, right? Like we need someone to architect it. They don't have to be the expert in every single one of
Yep.
these subsets, but we need someone to understand the problem,
Mm.
lay out how we're going to go solve the problem, and then that person is almost certainly not going to be the person who goes and does every single step along the way. There will certainly be some smaller companies who one person is going to go lay out what the solution is and then go do every step of those solutions. But in large multinational companies, that will be a team of people who have complementary skills. And so I would agree that we will continue to need both of those groups moving into the future, people who
Yeah.
understand the process and people who
Mm.
understand every bit and byte as we go through. But no, Rija, this has been fantastic. I guess I've got one last question for you. Is who should reach out? Who would you like to have a conversation with? Do you want to talk about Industry 4.0? Are you guys looking to hire kind of your open forum of how can our listeners help you?
So yes, so they can contact me directly if they would like to discuss, and we make as well some exchanges with some company here in Europe. For example, we show them what to put in place. Of course, we accept only the no competitors company, of course. But yes, we did this, and I will be really happy as well to have some feedback if yes, if there is any uh, any insight from the audience.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So I will say to anyone
yeah,
listening, we'll have Rija's LinkedIn
yeah.
and on YouTube, on LinkedIn, as well as in the show notes. And with that, Rija, I want to thank you, and I want to thank everyone for listening. All of the great comments and conversations that we have been having.
Yeah.
If you guys have made it this far in podcast form, please hit the like, please hit the follow, please rate us 5 stars where you can. Remember to subscribe to Solus PLC as those numbers continue to go up, and then follow all of us, Rija, myself, and Vlad, as well as Manufacturing Hub on LinkedIn. And again, we want to thank Litmus for sponsoring this theme and for putting up with me all of last week at Hanover. Until next week, we'll see everyone soon. Thank you.